The AFC Championship, the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs in Kansas City. Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, two of the most exciting young quarterbacks in the NFL. This is going to be a fun football game. And I am really hoping that both of these teams just go all out and say, you know what? We're not going to try to, oh, your offense is awesome. We're not going to try to run the ball and manage the clock. No. We are going to just outscore you, baby. That's what we're going to do. That's what I want to see from Kansas City and Buffalo. And I feel like in the prime time slate, I want to see 30-24. I want to see 30-27. I want to see 34-31. I want to see 38-34. That's what I want to see in this game. And I think we have a chance to see it here. But I wouldn't be surprised if people heading into this game were underrating both defenses in this game. And that is going to be very interesting. Which defense has a better answer to stop the opposing offense? There are a lot of interesting factors in this game that I think are very hard to account for. Much different from the NFC Championship game. The NFC Championship game, we basically know who's playing, especially at quarterback, and we don't have a lot of guessing to do there. Mahomes, is he playing, is he not? I believe he'll play. He was at practice, full participant on Wednesday. That is huge. But will he be limited by his foot? That is a question that will be answered on Sunday. And I'm not a doctor. I cannot tell you how limited he will be by his foot, by his turf toe, right? Because that very well may be the difference in this game. Is Mahomes 100 or is Mahomes 85? Because I think if you have Patrick Mahomes at 85, Josh Allen is better. But if Patrick Mahomes is 100 and Josh Allen is 100, I lean towards the Chiefs. I lean towards Mahomes. So let's talk about it. Some headlines and notes for this game. This is the Spider-Man meme game. You know, like the Spider-Man when they point at each other? That meme? This is this game. They are as close as you can get to two elite teams being the exact same that you will see in an AFC NFC championship game probably in most of your lifetime. These two teams play very similarly. They have quarterback improvisers with massive right arms. They make plays. They don't really like to run the ball. They have great playmakers on the outside, two of the best receivers in the game. They have defenses that kind of concede the run and defend the pass. They have playmakers. They have great coaching staffs. They have aggressive pass-first teams, and they both are kind of leading the way in terms of NFL progression, in decision-making, in aggressiveness, in fourth down play calls, in red zone. So all of that stuff, this is the Spider-Man meme game. Couple things. The Bills didn't play their best game in the wild card or the divisional round. They won both games without playing very well, which is, I think, a factor because eventually the Bills are going to show up and play their best game. Now, how much does that have to do with their competition? Of course, a little bit. They played two good teams, the Colts, the Ravens. The Chiefs are a team, on the flip side, who they weren't playing very well entering the playoffs. Now, they look pretty good versus the Cleveland Browns, but I would say a lot of that had to do with the incompetency of Cleveland's defense. Like, I wasn't super impressed with the Chiefs' ability on offense. It was more like Cleveland kind of just sucks on defense, and we'll see if they can do that this week, although Kansas City has been the favorite all year. The Bills had no idea when the Week 6 game would be played. They had no idea. Remember, in Week 6, again, rematch, guys. It was originally scheduled to be a Thursday night football game in Buffalo. This game's in Kansas City. It then moved to a Sunday and then moved to a Monday. So the Bills didn't know whether it was going to be on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Like, they had no idea. Okay, so they had to switch their plans and their practices. And this was like that whole jumbled mess of the Bills season where they lost to the Titans and the Chiefs. And it was like they didn't know when they were playing. I think the Bills have one loss when they know when the game is going to be played, which is an interesting stat, only in COVID year. Now, the Chiefs had 2 more days of rest than the Bills during that week. So that's also a factor. When looking back at week 6, it was a bad game for the Bills because they had a lot of injuries. They were dealing with a couple days of the Chiefs having over them like an advantage, and they didn't know when the game was going to be played. Now, this game's in Kansas City. So Buffalo, the Mafia, the tables, the flaming tables, that's not even going to be around the stadium. This is all going to be about the Chiefs' kingdom. The weather in this game, both teams are very familiar with, whether it is snowing, windy, or raining. I don't think I lean either way there in terms of the weather for who it would help or who it would hurt. Both teams are pretty much, again, Spider-Man meme, the same. And both of them have quarterbacks that can play through it and be effective through it. Although I will say Mahomes' numbers have been better than Allen's in this type of weather. The last time the Bills made it to the Super Bowl, they did it by beating the Chiefs in the AFC Title game. They beat Joe Montana in order to get there. So that's just an interesting history thing that maybe Bills fans would be happy to hear. I think this game comes down to red zone efficiency. Red zone offense, red zone conversion, and the mobility of their quarterbacks to be the difference in extending plays and making plays that are not there. All those things are going to be big factors. Now let's check out the tail of the tape before we look at the injury reports. So, the tail of the tape for both teams. These are both top 5 offenses, according to DVOA. The Chiefs number 2 behind only the Green Bay Packers. Defensively, the Bills have a decisive advantage, 12-22, although I would say the Chiefs always seem to rise to the occasion defensively in a big game. Point differential favors Buffalo. And turnover differential favors the Chiefs. I believe if the Chiefs win, I think in part will be because Mahomes doesn't turn the ball over and Allen does. I think that could be a factor that might determine this game. Again, guys, turnovers are the key difference in a lot of playoff games. I know it's simple analysis, but it's a big deal. All right. The injury reports. We have for the Bills, Vernon Butler, defensive tackle, did not practice on Wednesday. Gabriel Davis, wide receiver, did not practice for the Bills on Wednesday. I don't know their status. Davis played last week. I don't know if he'll play this week. I don't know if Butler will play or not. I would say Davis is a more significant loss than Butler, but both of them are solid depth contributors, and Davis has become a regular contributor. Kansas City, again, the key thing, I said it, I'll say it again for those of you to hear it again. Mahomes was a full participant at practice on Wednesday. But there's some interesting things here. Bashaud Breeland, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and Rashad Fenton all limited at practice. That's 2 corners. Very important because Buffalo loves to pass. They got a lot of receivers you got to cover. So if Breeland or Fenton or both are out, that's a little concerning because that's their 3rd and 4th best corner on their team. And then you have the rookie Gay, the linebacker, who did not practice. Will Watkins be active? Will Clyde be active? It feels like Clyde will be active. I'm not sure about Watkins, but hey, Watkins revenge game, anybody? So, let's start off with the Bills offense versus the Chiefs defense. I believe that Josh Allen, he has not played well in wild card game or divisional round. He played well in the wild card game, but not his best, okay? He played really well, but not his best. He needs to play his best game here for them to win. I think Allen needs to outduel Mahomes in a way. And I think that can be had in a couple different ways. Two main factors for Josh Allen. I believe him versus the blitz will be something to look forward to. The Chiefs blitzed Allen last game on 15 of his 31 dropbacks. That's like half. All that blitzing didn't amount to any sacks, but the Bills quarterback was under duress all game. He was pressured 54.8% of the time on his dropbacks and averaged only 3.4 yards per attempt. Those blitzes served a purpose. It kept Allen in the pocket and he wasn't able to scramble, where Allen is really deadly. Just like you Chiefs fans know, your quarterback is very deadly when he can get outside the pocket and can scramble, move, and extend the play. That is where Allen is most dangerous. The Chiefs blitzed him, not necessarily to sack him, but to keep him in the pocket. Will they do that again? Now, it's important to note that guard John Feliciano did not play the first time. He will be playing in this game, and he is important to their protection up front, specifically in the interior. Josh Allen has gotten better at defeating the blitz since then. I think he would have done better versus the blitz versus the Ravens if the wind wasn't such a big factor, where he missed a couple big throws down the field. The wind was a much bigger factor than you thought in that game. There was a couple missed touchdowns or missed big plays where Allen just missed a guy just because the wind threw the ball off to the left or the right. It wasn't necessarily his throw. So if Allen is able to counter that with a big play versus Kansas City, that might be the advantage. But if Kansas City can consistently knock Allen off his rhythm, then they will have the edge. I think the other big thing for Josh Allen is his rushing ability, specifically in the red zone. This is something that Patrick Mahomes does not have that the Bills can use to their advantage. The Bills love to run Josh Allen. They didn't as much last week as I thought they would. But I think they can have success on 4 or 5 plays, maybe even up to 8 plays in this game. Short yardage, red zone, just key plays where Allen runs it himself, in a Cam Newton-like fashion. I think Josh Allen, especially within the 10-yard line, could be the secret weapon to gaining the advantage when getting touchdowns as opposed to field goals. The Bills last week did not run the ball basically at all because they played the Ravens and they said, F that, we're not doing that. This week, they'll run it a little bit more and with a little bit more success. Kansas City isn't great running the ball. I think that will keep them slightly more balanced, but I think the Bills will, once again, rely on Josh Allen to pass and a little bit of Josh Allen to run to win this game. Now, I think Spagnuolo, I love and I respect Spagnuolo because he is one of the best coordinators at taking away what an offense does best. And in this case, it is Josh Allen to Stephon Diggs. So my question is, how does Spagnuolo take away Stephon Diggs? Does he just double him all game and say, Josh, we're doubling him. You don't have him on this play. Who do you got? Is Beasley going to beat us? Is Brown going to beat us? Is Gabriel Davis, Dawson Knox? Who's it going to be? Because you're not throwing to Diggs. And that's what I think Spags will do on key downs. Not all the time, but on key downs. Third downs, things of that nature. But the troubling thing with that, if it's man coverage, I think the Bills have advantages. John Brown specifically, his speed could be a problem. I don't know, especially with the Chiefs' injuries in the secondary, Breeland and Fenton both being on the injury report. That might be a problem. Gabriel Davis has shown he can win. Beasley it depends how healthy he is. He's kind of been beat up throughout these playoffs, but maybe you'll see Matthew on him. Maybe you'll see Fenton on him. Maybe you'll see a couple different guys, but I would expect a lot of Snead on Diggs with maybe safety help on Diggs a lot of the time. The key guy for the Bills to block is, of course, Chris Jones, him winning a lot just with a 4-man rush could be huge. Chris Jones is the best defensive player, arguably, in this entire game. I think you could argue it's him, Tyrann Mathieu, or Tre'Davious White. But Chris Jones has been a playmaker for them in the playoffs consistently. And in a few plays in this game, he could provide something that maybe the Bills don't have on the other side. So, when I look at that matchup, I see the Bills able to move the ball. I think with their external weapons, their secondary weapons. I think John Brown has a big game. I think Cole Beasley has a few clutch catches. I think Josh Allen will run the ball effectively. And I'm not so sure the Chiefs will slow down Stephon Diggs. I think Diggs will still have a decent game. I don't know if he'll have 150 yards. I would probably bet against that. But somewhere between 80 to 100 yards sounds about right. And I think the Bills will score through the passing game. And when they get to the red zone, they've been so good and so effective. I think they'll run it effectively with Allen. Question is, can they run it at all to keep just a little bit of balance? Now, flipping it to the other side, I think the Chiefs move the ball too. Patrick Mahomes, the question is, again, like I said at the beginning, his foot. Is that a problem? Like pushing off the foot, running outside the pocket. Does that make him a stationary player? Does that make it so that his improvisation, which is maybe his best skill, is not at the forefront of this offense? And if that's the case, that's a huge disadvantage for Kansas City. But I simply don't know that answer. I can't give you that answer. I will say this about the first matchup. The Bills are totally different defensively. They are way better, they are way healthier, and they are less vanilla. Vanilla meaning they are less simple. They're a lot more complex. They do a lot more things. They play a lot more coverages. And I think just generally they're a lot better. Just for example, the Bills played quarters coverage, which is a cover 4. 4 guys going deep, 2 to the flats, and then you got kind of 1 or 2 guys over the middle, right? So, and then there's match concepts on that. That's stuff you don't need to know. 20 out of 35 dropbacks. That's a lot. So they played the same defense a lot in that game. I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're going to mix it up a lot more. I think you're going to see more of the classic Bills defense. And I will say this about Sean McDermott. Just like Spagnuolo, I have a lot of respect for him and Leslie Frazier and their ability to scheme up specifically to what you do well, specifically in your passing concepts. How do we take that away? McDermott is very good at that. That's his biggest, greatest skill is where you're running this concept, we're going to have more guys in this area than you're going to have. It's different from being a primary man team. They're a primary zone team, but they always figure out in this formation or in this set, like where to put our resources. And that's what the Bills are really good at. And that's what I think they did a good job at last time they played, even though they were a lot simpler in that regard. Something totally weird about last game was that this was the lowest pass rate for the Chiefs all season. They played the Bills last time, and they ran the ball the whole game. It was very weird. And they ran the ball very well. I'm not saying they ran for 180 yards with Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who's not as healthy this game, but will play a factor. But I don't expect that to be the case. I think the Chiefs will pass the ball more in this game. I think they'll need to pass the ball more in this game. The Bills are better versus the run. We'll talk about that a little bit more. But I think the key to why the Chiefs won last time was the Bills said, okay, we're going to concede the run, but Kansas City was so effective running the ball that it backfired on Buffalo. And they were able to keep possession. Allen couldn't get, therefore, on the field, therefore get rhythm, therefore get enough opportunities to beat the Chiefs. The Chiefs possessed the ball in extremely, incredible amount compared to Kansas City in that game, or compared to Buffalo in that game. The Chiefs had the ball the whole second half. And that's why they won the game, because they were just running the ball. The Bills were playing, light box, and the Bills were just going 6 yards, 7 yards, 15 yards, 20 yards, 5 yards, 25 yards. It was just ridiculous, right? And another thing that was weird was how much the Chiefs played under center. If you ever watch the Chiefs, they don't play under center at all. They never do. In this game, they did. Right? They were under center for a season high 14 run plays. That's another season high. Very weird. That's not going to happen again, I don't think. In week 6, another weird thing. This was just a weird game. This was a way weirder game. Everyone's talking about the Packers-Bucks game. No, this game was weird. Okay? In week 6, Buffalo did not blitz once in the entire game, guys. Now, I know this doesn't sound weird on the surface, but Next Gen Stats has been recording this statistic since 2016, and a defense has never not blitzed once in a single game. Okay? Let me repeat this. This is the only team ever in 5 seasons that has never blitzed once in a single game. Guys, not once. That is crazy. That's nuts. Okay, so I would expect to say the Bills have blitzed more over the last half of the season, and I would say that Jerry Hughes has been awesome. Super underrated player. Jerry Hughes has been fantastic. But as we know versus Patrick Mahomes, similar to Josh Allen, it's not necessarily about creating, sacks. And it's about maintaining your pass rush lanes, not letting Mahomes create. And I think if Mahomes isn't 100%, that then kind of allows the Bills to be more aggressive in their rush lanes and be able to get after Mahomes a little bit more instead of just kind of pressuring him without sacking him and without getting past him. Because when Mahomes, when he sees you, you're rushing and your integrity of your rushing lanes isn't there. He's going to squeeze by you. He's going to run by you. He's going to create a play, and he's going to run around for 10 seconds, and eventually Tyreek is going to zip, and then they're going to pass the ball for 20 yards, and then it's all a mess, right? You got to keep Mahomes in the pocket kind of, but still maintain pressure, right? You got to make him kind of move backwards and collapse him in the pocket, whether that's through your 4-man rush, your blitzes, your whatever it is. And that's the way the Bills are going to do that, I think. So those were some interesting things I thought about the game and about that side of the ball. And I think the Bills are going to employ a similar philosophy, right? They're going to say, we want the Chiefs to run the ball. Like, we don't want to deal with Mahomes as much as possible. But I think they're better at defending the run. And I think a key player to this game is Matt Milano. He did not play last time. Either did Levi Wallace. Both are starters. One's a corner, second or third corner on Buffalo, and one is, I would say, the best linebacker on the Bills. Matt Milano is a very underrated player. He is back in this game. AJ Klein played last time. He got wrecked. Okay, Travis Kelce and those guys, they passed over the middle all day. Matt Milano is a great coverage player, and he is also very, very smart and instinctual, and he's key to their run and pass coverage. Okay, I think Tre'Davious White will be on Tyreek Hill. The question is, how do you cover Travis Kelce? I think it will be a lot of soft coverage. I think the Chiefs will once again throw the ball underneath, take their time, use their patience to move the ball, run the ball a little bit. But I think the Bills are much better equipped because of their intelligence on defense and their secondary, Micah Hyde, Jordan Poyer, Tre'Davious White. They're much better equipped to stop the Chiefs than the Cleveland Browns were. So I think at least in that case, it's going to be more competitive. I would guess that they try to double Kelce a lot, especially in the red zone. I don't really know who the matchup's going to be, Poyer, Johnson, Milano, but that's going to be a problem. Kelce's going to be a problem. When I look at this game, I really have no idea who's going to win, but I think it's going to be super close either way. I think it's going to be a one-score game no matter who wins the game. It's going to come down to maybe the last drive, the last little bit of the game. I think the Bills have been the better team as of late. I think the Bills have the edge in terms of Their defense, I think, is just a slightly better matchup towards the opposing offense. I think the Chiefs' defense has more problems defending the Bills' offense than the Bills' defense has stopping the Chiefs' offense. And I'm very nervous about Patrick Mahomes' injury. At the beginning of the week, I was leaning towards the Chiefs. But I think where the game comes down to is my nervousness of the Chiefs not having Mahomes at 100%. And Allen's ability to pass, run, and improvise to be the difference in the game, especially in the red zone. I think the Bills are going to execute in the red zone. The Chiefs have struggled in the red zone. They've been able to move the ball between the 20s as always. But where the Bills could win this game is by forcing the Chiefs to kick field goals and scoring touchdowns when they get the opportunity. So while I feel like the Chiefs might look like the better team in this game, maybe have more time of possession, maybe they move the ball better on a consistent basis, I think the Bills' ability on short yardage and in the red zone to convert is why they win. So again, I'm sticking with my previous prediction, which is the Bills to win the game. I really don't, I'm just going to tell you, I'm probably not going to gamble on this game, especially on the line, because I don't feel very good about this. I think it's going to be a fun game either way. It's going to be a close game either way. But I'm leaning towards Buffalo because I think they're healthier. I think they're playing better ball. And I think I'm just nervous about Mahomes. So I'm going to take the Bills. I think the strategy they employed in the first game is going to be refined to a certain degree and better executed this time around. And I think Allen and this team has gotten to the point where they've learned enough and they've gained enough experience in the playoffs where this might be the game where everything comes together. You know, their defense has been playing well. Their offense has had spurts, but can they put it together in one game? And this might be that game.